Hi guys, so this is Dr. Michelle, and as you can see, I'm lounging today. I think a weather storm, rainstorm is coming through, and I just didn't feel like putting on a bunch of clothes and things. This is going to be about my day, but I wanted to talk to you about making it last forever. This is Relationship 101 again. And I want to talk about the fact that right now, statistically, it shows that more people are getting divorced in the church than in the world, right? Outside of the church. And it's talking about that the divorces outside of the church are getting just as high. So when I say make it last forever, let me give you a few things that I think can help us both ways, inside and outside the church. The first thing, guys, is that when we come to the church, we forget that we are human, that we make mistakes, that we go through things, that we're not walking on water with angel wings attached to our back, proclaiming to be God. But yet the thing that happens that is in the church, we lack forgiveness. And I know that's terrible to say, but that is really what it is. You're supposed to forgive 70 times 70. Basically what I'm saying is you're supposed to give grace. But in the church, we have a hard time forgiving and giving grace because we hold people to a higher expectation, forgetting that this is the place that you come to be healed. This is the place that you go to help God to work on you. The church is not a place for a whole bunch of people to get it together. The church is a place where we go to get healed, to get inspiration, to hear from God. And so that means that we have to allow people grace. We go about saying that just because you're in the church, you should know better, you shouldn't do this. And then we hold people to a harder standard, a stricter standard. But listen, we are but human, right? There's none perfect but one, and that's God. So even outside the church, where people, give people give more moderation of forgiveness and room for graces, because you expect it. Like I said, oh, I expect you to mess up. I expect you to do some things wrong. Well, it shouldn't be that way. It should be a fair playing ground all the way across the board. We have to stop holding people to expectations that we're not allowed to hold to ourselves, right? And then one of the things that think we need to understand is to go in it with our eyes wide open, right? The things that we would know if we knew when we knew what we did, right? If we knew back then, right? So you have to go with your eyes wide open. That means that the things that break couples apart, that makes it hard for it to last forever, one is we get complacent. We get complacent with our husband and wives, and we think that once we got them, that's all we have to do. But you have to do the same thing you did to keep them, but you also have to be willing to grow. Everything dead should be in the grave. You are never going to be with a person that's going to remain the same. That person, if it's a person that has no ambition, has no goals, just boring. Who wants to be with somebody dead, right? So if you're with somebody, you're in a relationship, you're married, you have a husband or wife, then expect that person to grow and be willing to grow with them. Be flexible, right? Because that's what it's going to cost. The same person that I was 10 years ago is not the same person that I'm going to be 20 years from now. So life changes people, experiences change people. So you have to be attentive to your husband and wife, and you have to be aware of those changes that come with the marriage, right? You have to be aware of those different stages that come with a person, and you have to be willing to grow and to also accept that person for who they're becoming. That's why people be like, I outgrew him, I outgrew her, because you were stagnant and thinking that you knew the person that you was with to a T. Well, the fact of the matter is you're still getting to know yourself every day. You're still getting to know who you are. There are seasons that you grow and change. So how can you possibly think that you won't continuously get to know your husband or wife? That's the exciting part. That's the exciting part. When you accept people for who they are and you allow people to grow and be their authentic selves, it is a wonderful journey to grow together and to get to know that person. And people change, so you can't become complacent. At one season, roses could be my very, very best thing, but then you look and It could be the wild orchid or one of those ones. I forget the name of the flower, but they are absolutely beautiful. It favors like a bird, a hummingbird type of rose. But you know, things change, so you have to be aware of those changes, right? That's the second thing to making it last forever. The first was to not hold people up to standards and expectations that you're not able to be able to meet yourselves. That means forgiveness. That means grace. That means, you know, taking them from off a pedestal and making them God, and making them the God of your life, which is adultery, instead of looking at God, right? The second thing is not being complacent, being able to grow, being able to be flexible, being able to move with the relationship, right? One of the third things is also being able to, I guess, trust your partner. Trust is one of the bigger issues as well, which goes into, you know, cheating and not cheating and everything. You have to be aware that this is a lifetime commitment. Just because you don't feel your partner today doesn't mean that you go out and cheat tomorrow. Just because things aren't going right for a season doesn't mean that you throw in the towel. Relationships is just like life. It's seasons. You know, you're going to have good seasons, bad seasons, so-so seasons, great seasons, awful seasons. It's seasons. So you have to have a mindset of commitment, right? If you're not committed to the marriage, then that's the no-go anyway. Because you're going to, listen, as fine as your man may be, you're going to see somebody finer. As fine as your woman may be, you're going to see somebody that's going to be finer. You know, the world is full of great-looking people. The world is full of great people, right? But when you make the commitment to get in a marriage, to get in a relationship, then you've made the commitment to that person. And especially when you make that covenant before God and you become sexually active, then you have decided to say before the word, before God, we are now one. So you won't go out and cheat on yourself. You won't lie to yourself. You won't treat yourself unfairly. And I know life happens and things happen, but this is what I'm telling you that I know for myself. You have to go in with a mind of commitment and say, I'm in this, right? There's no open door to go out this way in a season to take a break into this is a full-time commitment. And the best way that you can get through that is to recognize that you're now one. And so that's one of the best and easiest ways to be in a marriage and say, I'm going to make this work and I'm going to rock it. Because if you love yourself and you practice self-care, then you understand what it means to love somebody else as one. You're one in the eyes of God. Try that. And you'll recognize that when it comes to ready to do something stupid, say something stupid, flirt with somebody doing something, you'll be like, I wouldn't hurt myself. This is due to detrimental of myself. So if I hurt him, I'm hurting myself. If I do something to damage our household, I'm damaging myself. If I take from myself, I'm taking from if I take from him, I'm taking from myself. So that is the biggest thing I think people realize. So that way, when if you should have to go to marriage counseling, if you have to decide that you're going through some things, you won't sit in there the entire time bashing your partner, or you won't spend all your time talking about your husband or your wife or looking at them like you crazy. Because listen, you're going to do an inward look and say, wait a minute, I got my own issues. I come up short. So there's no room for me to constantly talk about him coming up short or her coming up short, right? So we got we got actually being able to stop holding people up to expectations that I ourselves can't meet. 2, we got the fact that we actually got to have a heart of forgiveness. You remember the other one because I skipped all over that one, grace, mercy, and all that stuff. 2, we have to actually y'all know what I said. And 3, guys, you have to actually just be willing to look at yourself and be like, this is me, right? So anyway, going on, another thing that you want to do, you want to make sure that you understand that you count the cost. Financial issues is one of the things that causes people to not be able to make it, right? Because even in today's climate, it is difficult. Everything is going up. Life is hard. And a lot of times you find yourself arguing about what you're not arguing about, especially when it comes to financial issues, right? You have to count the cost. And you know, you have to have a mindset that even though we're mad and in love with each other and we want to be together for a lifetime, it does take money. And people go through financial issues, and what happens is they start to turn against themselves, because you can't be kind to one another when you're hungry, right? Or you can't be the best you when you worried about where you're going to live at or where you're going to drive and things like that. So financial issues is a big one. And so as far as I can say, ladies, when it comes to when you have a hardworking man, like I have a hardworking man, you do the best you can, not only to do what you can as well, or either it might be vice versa. You know, some people have, you know, the women make more and all this and that, whatever it may be, it's ours, right? That's how you have to look at it. It is ours. We on a common goal to make sure that we sustain our lifestyle, that we have the things that we desire, and that, you know, we do the best we can. So we take the burden off of one another. So you take the eyes off of I, and you begin to look at we. What can I do to help him? What can I do to serve him? What can I do to serve her? And that works out amazing. It works out amazing. So, and it takes two, you know, it is hard. It takes two. One of the other things, guys, in making it last forever, because I'm losing all the things that I'm giving you because I know them, but I can't remember which ones I said at the time I said it, right? So make sure you go back and rewind if I got that mixed up on the things. But one of the other things that you can do to make it last forever is to be flexible. Be flexible, keep the spark going. Keep the laughter going. And I know it can be very difficult after you've been with somebody for some years. It's like I done ran out of all sorts of things to do, but you have to be flexible. You have to be creative, because you got to understand that this is two people in a relationship, and you gotta, nobody wants to sit around and just look at each other all the time and nothing is happening, right? What we do sometimes, we play cards, you know, when we sitting around. We play Family Feud. We got to get some more board games. We cook, we eat, we laugh, we look at movies, we talk, we read. I read some, you know, you have to be flexible, right? You have to switch it up. So when it goes back to one of the things I told you about being complacent, that's one of the things too. You have to switch it up, being flexible. Change it, be creative, have a romantic side to you, have a fun side to you. You know, you should be able to be your best self, you know, around your partner. And one of the things I heard a lady said that was married for 30 some years, and my parents have been married for 50 some years. My aunt and uncle, like, it's a bunch of people, even my twin brother and them 20 some years. One thing you have to do is that you do have to be flexible. You can't become complacent. I heard the couple of 30 some years say that she said that she was going to ask for a divorce after 30 some years, and you be wondering, like, these people be married 30 some years, 50 some years, 20 some years, and jump up and get a divorce, and you be like, what happened? And the lady was saying, well, for one, he wasn't hearing me. I was busy changing, I was busy evolving, I was busy doing things, and he was like, oh, okay. So when I would say something, he would shrug it off like he didn't hear what I had to say. And she said, I became sick and tired of being sick and tired, so I asked for a divorce. So she was like, you know, you can't become complacent. Hey, all right, you can't become complacent in these relationships. You have to stay flexible. You have to be willing to give, right? So one of the other things, guys, I know I've given you a lot. One of the other things is sex. That is a big one, right? As far as that goes, guys, you have to I can't tell you how you want to behave in the bedroom, but I'm telling you this: I'm too tired when your husband get home, or I'm too tired when your wife come home. It has to be a meeting ground, right? It has to be a meeting place, because what you won't do, somebody else is willing to do. And it is so many people out there that run into having affairs and get into trouble because one person just isn't meeting the needs of the other person. Like when you got married, you were so anxious, you were sleeping together all the time. I mean, you were like rabbits. And then once you got in it, like everything just died. You know, you may not feel like it, or he may not feel like it, but it's very important to make your partner understand or feel like that they are sexually desired. Everybody wants to be desired, even from that man that you think is not paying any attention. Everybody wants to be appreciated. So one of the best things that you can do, and I mentioned that before, is to get the book, The 5 Love Languages, and try to understand what your partner's love language is. That is very important. Sometimes it's words of affirmation, sometimes it's giving, sometimes it's touch, sometimes it may be receiving. You know, I forget what the 5 are, but get the 5 love languages, so that you can understand your partner's love language. Okay, so those are some very, very great tips to making it last forever. It's not all of it, because we could go on and on, but this is one of the things that some of the things that I wanted to share with you. But one of the most important, not least but most important, is to make God the center of your relationship. If you want to make it last forever, you have to have an anchor, you have to have a source, and you have to have some type of standard and measurement as what you measure your marriage by. That's not looking at what Baquisha and her husband is doing, or Jack and Jill doing over here, but you have to set the standard on what God says a godly marriage is. That means you have to honor one another, and you have to respect one another, because I'm going to tell you, if you don't learn how to treat one another and make God the source, so that you can understand what respect look like, you can understand what love look like, then sometimes you can ruin an entire relationship because you don't know how to respect one another, right? One of the things to making it last forever is to drawing the line and setting boundaries. There are certain things that you should not say to one another. There are certain things that you should not do to one another, so that it can last forever. Because once you cross those lines, it's very difficult to uncross those lines. Once things are said, it's very difficult to take those things back. I may forgive, but I may never forget what you said. You understand what I'm saying? So to make it last forever, you definitely want to take that as the first and foremost part of the relationship, and that's make God the source and the center of your life. Okay, so those are the things very quickly I wanted to touch upon and give you on making it last forever. This is Relationship 101 with Dr. Michelle. Peace.